It's the JT the Brick Show.
This is the silver and black. This is the Raiders. This is a historic franchise. This is no ordinary job.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
I don't care if I offend somebody. If it isn't right, I'm going to stop practice. We're going to do it the right way.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT rolling into the 4th of July. Like a proud American, I'm all red, white, and blue. And you can see that if you're watching live on YouTube at JT the Brick. It's free. I got Ari in the stream. My son, my oldest son, is in studio today. He's a wizard with these things. He says, Dad, we got to make this better, man. We got to get the audio better. Ari's a wizard. Maybe we got to try some stuff here. I'm all for trying stuff. But I'm a radio host. I'm a talk show host. Been doing it as long as anyone to ever do it. 30 years uninterrupted. Longer hours, longer shows. Still the only, maybe Ari, the only solo host left in all of radio, pure solo, even though Ari's allowed to speak whenever he wants because he's a teammate. So Ari's mic's always open. Clay will be back at some point next week. This is our Bucket of Modelo's Friday show on Thursday. Because we're off Friday. 4th of July is Saturday, the 250th birthday of the United States of America. You should be celebrating in your backyard, over a friend's backyard, wherever you are, on a boat, at the beach, a lake. A lot of people like lakes. I didn't grow up, Ari, with lakes. I grew up at the beach in Long Island. Some people like lakes. I'm okay with lakes. Beaches are better. I'm sorry. I grew up in Long Island. I lived in San Diego. I'm all for lakes, man. I don't have a problem with you going to the lake, but I like the beaches a little bit better. And I like everything that's going on heading into Raider Nation. As I told you, we did a really good week of radio with content, and we didn't do much Raiders because there isn't much to talk about Raider-related wise, and I don't beat a dead horse. I don't talk about things that don't matter. Because when the preseason starts and training camp starts, and you know how much I respect every player, right? You know that. You can't judge that. I respect everybody. But I don't talk about the practice squad. I don't talk about the guys who don't make the team. I don't talk about the guys who get cut during the season. I don't. I talk about winning. What is it going to take to get Brock Bowers in the end zone? What is it going to take to activate Michael Mayer and not turn him into a special teams blocker? What is it going to take with Washington Jr. and Ashton Jeanty to be a two-headed running back by committee where Jeanty is the force, and they run behind Tyler Linderbaum, and all of a sudden we're hanging out at Allegiant Stadium. We're like, oh, my God, you see this running game? You see this running game? Oh, my God, we might not have to pass the ball. We're running downhill. So those are the things I talk about, but we don't do that in June, and we don't do that in early July. We talk about other things like Jaylen Brown getting traded to the 76ers. Oh, my God. How did that happen? Jaylen Brown, 29 years old in his prime. Hey, Warrior fans. Hey, Cisco, how'd you miss that one? You worried about LeBron? Jaylen Brown was available. He went to Cal Berkeley. He could have played for 1888 GSW Hoop. Code name for the Warriors. And going to Philly for Paul George? Wow. I think the Warriors missed out. If I find out that the Warriors were concentrating on LeBron and fell asleep with Jaylen Brown and the possibility of a trade, that would be alarming to me. But it was pretty expensive. You would have had to give up 2 firsts. You would have had to give up a lot. But, when you're Paul George, and Paul George is maybe the most valuable player in NBA history. He's been traded so many times for so many players. That's value. I'll get into that in a little bit. But let's get to soccer. And here's what I want to do. I got a lot happening with soccer. Went out last night to a watch party, thanks to my buddy Todd Parmalee over at Wahoo's. A lot of cool guys were there. I ran into a lot of people and was all American, ready to go. USA I didn't think it was going to be a tough game. I didn't think the USA was going to really have to sweat, but they went man down. They went man down with the red card that was very controversial, that shouldn't have been called, especially after they looked at the review. They looked at the review, and they still went with the red card. Wow, I was surprised by that. But they were able and ready to go in there and do some good things and hold on and win 2-0. It's not 2-0 in soccer. It is 2-0. that was the score they won by. And I think that was a very important win for Bosnia to beat Bosnia, because Bosnia is good. They got good players. They got European players who play in Europe. They're better than America. The European soccer players are better than Americans. That's been going on for hundreds of years. The South American players are better than America. The African players on a whole are better than America. So whenever we beat someone better than Real Salt Lake and all these crap LA Galaxy teams, that's all we have here in America. When we get a win like that, and we get a real big win, we need to celebrate that. And we should be celebrating that. And the fact that they were man down for 30 minutes and they were able to win, very impressive overall. Very impressive overall. So I think for everybody who's out there and loves soccer and American soccer, now the fact that they advance, and if they beat Belgium, which I think they will, I think they're good enough to beat Belgium, who have good players. They're an aging team. They got some veterans. If the United States wins and they're in the quarters and we're looking at this saying, oh, my God, look at this. The United States has a really good shot to get to the Final Four, to have the ability to advance and, I don't know, catch lightning in a bottle. You never know. We haven't had the game yet where Pulisic scores 2 goals. We haven't had the refs helping us out where we get a penalty kick in the 35th minute to go up 1-0. That could be coming. So this is fantastic. If you're watching soccer, if you went and watched it last night, tell me about it. Tell stories. It's summertime radio. Where'd you go to watch it? Who were you with? Were you great? Yes, I'm at war with the Mexico fans because they don't think I know soccer. Believe me, I've been watching soccer longer than many of them who are showering down hate at me because I'm upset that England has to play at Azteca Stadium. You don't think I know the rules? You don't think a month ago I knew the draw? You don't think I know World Cup and I know where they're playing in all the stadiums and when? I understand Mexico is a host country. I understand that they play at Azteca Stadium. I just don't think it's very fair that England has to play in that building because it's impossible for some teams to play there. We don't have a home field advantage in America. Give me a break. Seattle Lumen Field or Arrowhead Stadium or MetLife. That's not a home field advantage. We don't have a culture of soccer in America where we have a cathedral. We don't have a soccer stadium somewhere in America that we go, oh, my God, that's the cathedral. You know what we have in America? Lambeau Field, where the Green Bay Packers play. That's our cathedral to football. We don't have one for soccer. They do in Mexico. And the English have to play there. And as I said earlier, I'll say it again, I'm all in on England. I love Mexico. Sorry, I've been with England my whole life in the World Cup, right behind the United States. United States is number one. I'm not looking to pick a fight with Mexico. Man, you don't want to pick a fight with Mexicano, no Mexico. I want to be at peace with my brothers from south of the border here. But I don't have to root for you. What, are you kidding me? I don't have to root for you. I'd root for Mexico over Bosnia. I'd root for them over the Germans. I'd root for them over a lot of teams. But there's a couple of teams I don't get in line to be. I'm not on the Mexico bandwagon. But if they play Argentina or Spain, yeah, you can count me in. You can count me in. You know, the Mexican players are used to the elevation as Azteca Stadium, and it's a really big advantage for them. So can you name a time someone reminded me when Germany had to play in Brazil at a World Cup and Germany beat Brazil 7-1? Okay, that's comparable. There's nothing else comparable. There's nothing comparable to taking an England team and putting them in Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. And listen to me, England fans travel, and some of them are hooligans. They're not going to Mexico City. First off, they can't afford it. They're not coming from London to Mexico City. They'll come from London to Boston. They'll come from London to Atlanta. They ain't going to Mexico City. And if they do, you're going to have to put them in a section there because those fans are going to be going back and forth. So Mexico, I hope you continue to win at some point. But I'm going to give the advantage to Harry Kane and England. Let's see what happens in that game. But getting back to American soccer, are you getting into it or not? Do you have one of those buddies of yours that you go to the bar with or at the barbecue? You know, you're going to have that guy at the barbecue, Ari, on the 4th of July, and it's going to be like, hey, man, barbecue, you're going to be at the keg. Hopefully you have a keg. In America, we drink kegs. And you go up to the keg, Ari, and you got your red Solo cup, and you go, hey, man, my name's Ari. I'm watching the World Cup. Are you? And that doofus says, no, I don't watch soccer. It sucks. You're not going to run into any of those guys, are you?
No way.
No way. You hang out with better people
They're going to fake
that.
it till they make it, if not, right?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta have all these
gotta
people.
be aware.
You gotta be in. This is the only bandwagon that I support. The only bandwagon that I support. You know, Taylor Swift goes to the Knicks games and she wears Knicks colors. Then she goes to the Cavaliers games and she wears the Cavaliers colors. All of that. That's bandwagon. I'm not a bandwagon. I put bandwagons out of business. But I believe if you're going to be a bandwagon American soccer fan, come on in. Come on in. More the merrier. And we'll see what happens there. So who's excited about soccer? Who wants to talk about soccer? Get in on soccer, 702-365-9200. And what I've been looking for all week, and I haven't been desperate. You know when I get desperate. I'm never really desperate. But what I was encouraged and what I was hoping for when we started this week was to get some educated soccer calls. To get some fans who like the Raiders who can talk soccer. Is that impossible? I don't think it is. Where are you out there, Raider Nation, or anybody else? If you can talk soccer, you should be calling me about the draw, what you expect to see, how you think this is going to play out, and let's go. Let's hear about this at 702-365-9200. So we got a lot of repositioning today. I was on with Damon Bruce. I'm going to play about 10 minutes. He asked me about Fernando Mendoza. I waxed poetically about Fernando Mendoza and how great he is and what my expectations are. So you'll hear a little bit of that coming up. I'm going to stay with the NBA because the NBA news, we're still waiting on LeBron. Kendrick Perkins said something pretty interesting today, I thought, where now that Philadelphia got Jaylen Brown, Joel Embiid, and Maxey, what happens if they get LeBron in Philly? What happens if LeBron goes, whoa, wait a second. Look at this Philadelphia team. They got rid of that bum Paul George. I can go play 1 year in Philadelphia and maybe get a ring or play. Because, look, the East is the easier way to go. Maybe LeBron is sitting back saying, hey, man, that's a pretty good idea. So LeBron is not in a rush. The Lakers filled their roster. The Warriors have not. Oh, Warrior fans, if the season started today, Golden State, you would not make the playoffs like you didn't make it last year. So, Golden State, it seems like someone's sleeping up there. You think you got the chess piece to go get LeBron, you better get him. You better go get him because the rest of the team, the Lakers are better than the Warriors. San Antonio, Oklahoma City, and Denver are clearly better than the Warriors. And the Warriors got Draymond to opt out so they could do more business. So let's see how that can play out here if you want to get into it. But I'm pretty excited about this. Vince Goodwill from ESPN, the senior NBA writer, talked about the big three NBA trades of this offseason, and there's been a lot of them. Here we go.
The most consequential, I think, is Giannis because he's the biggest name and he's been the biggest domino that we've all been waiting for to fall. That does not mean that he's on the team best equipped to win a title next season. Kawhi Leonard is the most equipped to win a title next season because of the existing roster that you have in Toronto. Jaylen Brown long-term may prove to be something in Philadelphia, but here's the thing that gets me. Jaylen Brown had a career year in Boston with all those pieces around him. The analytics did not necessarily support it. What do the Boston Celtics know about Jaylen Brown that we don't know? They know him better than everybody else. They valued him at a point where they paid him subsequent contract extensions that reflected his value at the time. What did they see from him last year when he carried that ragtag team to 56 wins but a ceiling of a first-round playoff? Did they look at it and say, he's not going to get any better? Or did they look at it and say this, he can't go back to being the number two?
That's a really good soundbite, Ari. Thanks for clipping that. That was really, really good because he said something here I want to relate to the Raiders on Raider Nation Radio. He said they got rid of Jaylen Brown because they know him better than anybody. I believe the same thing happened with Luka Doncic in Dallas. I think that Dallas knew the behavior of Luka. He didn't work out. He liked to drink beer. I like to drink beer, but I don't play in the NBA. Okay, maybe they saw something with Luka and said, you know, we've been following Luka for a couple of years here. We don't want to give him a super max $260 million deal. It's just too risky. and they let Luka go. And it's really the same thing here with the Raiders. When the Raiders do trade or release someone, they're going to know that player better than you or me and everybody else. So there's been a lot of talk about Max Crosby. The cool thing about Max, as I'm weaving this Jaylen Brown to Max Crosby and Jaylen Brown are one of the same. They're two superstars at the prime of their careers, making a lot of money, and really, really good for the teams that they're staying with. Max with the Raiders, Jaylen Brown with the Celtics. Oh, wait a second, Jaylen Brown's now a Sixer. How did the Celtics trade their best player? Well, that would be the same thing with Max. If they move Max at any point, I would be scratching my head going, wait a second. Max is their best player, not one of their best players. He's their best player. So I've been on record saying Max is not being traded. Max isn't being traded for any rude behavior. Max isn't being traded because he's got some injury that'll never go away. I've been holding down the fort for Max. How do I know that? Because he told me that the other night at an event that I was emceeing. Thanks for having my back. And I have his back. Does that mean he'll never get traded? No, he could get traded. Jaylen Brown just got traded. But Max isn't going to be the reason that he sleeps in for workouts and misses meetings, that he's going to get traded. Did something happen with Jaylen Brown in Boston? I don't know. That's a good soundbite. There could be something where maybe his attitude was shifting within the Celtic organization, and they're like, let's move him. He's a great kid. He's really smart from Cal Berkeley. We love him. He's great. He's the MVP of the NBA Finals, but he's kind of getting to the point where he's going to be more than what we think to deal with emotionally. Maybe that happened, but he goes to Philadelphia, and I think Philadelphia should be thrilled by that move. Remember the Warriors. I keep going and pounding the Warriors because I see some Warrior fans who are in my chat today. Warrior fans, let me remind you, here's what you didn't get in the last 3 days. You didn't get Kawhi Leonard, you didn't get Jaylen Brown, and you didn't get Giannis Antetokounmpo. That's who you didn't get. 3 of the best players that have been in this league for quite some time. What are you doing, Warriors? Who are you waiting on? LeBron? Old man LeBron? I love LeBron. I defend him here, but you Warrior fans, that's your Christmas gift to those Warrior fans? LeBron James? Wow. The Warriors have missed the boat on players they had the pieces to trade for because everybody's just trading away future draft picks. Everybody's trading away 3, 4, 5 first-round picks. They don't give a crap about these first-round picks. They want to trade for veterans. They want to bring in free agents. That's what some of the big boy teams want to do. So we'll dive into that a little bit and get going here. I'd like to know what you're doing for the 4th of July. A little bit loose here. It's the last show until Monday. Are you going to any sports-themed parties? Are you going to a Raider barbecue? Are you getting on a plane going to see someone that you know through the Raider Nation? Let me know how you're celebrating the 4th of July. I'm still waiting for my rooftop invite, Ari. I am not shameful. I have a couple of people that I think are going to be a late call and say, JT, you can sit on our casino rooftop with a bottle of bub, and you can bring your bucket of Modelo's and watch the fireworks, because I'm thinking, Ari, this is the greatest fireworks show in Vegas history, and that says a lot.
I mean, we've been discussing this for a few days. I'm waiting on the invites. I'm surprised. You've been,
how many people do we have on hold? That'd be none, right? No one's invited me to their 4th of July party. Okay.
Come on, the line's open.
We got...
Just saying.
Every once in a while I tell Ari to unplug the phones and plug them back in to make sure people are out there. 702-365-9200. But we're open for business today. Again, fist bump. My son's here in studio with me. I'm excited for that. We're having a good time today. He is a Laker fan. And I've been talking to him on the break, so what's going to happen there? The NBA, USA Soccer. How far can this USA team go? Let's get real now. Let's get real. They just won their knockout game. They won against an average team, not a power. How much farther can they go? 1 or 2 games? Does anybody have the balls? Remember, we're sports. We talk about balls. Does anybody have the balls to predict the United States in the Final Four? That'd be cool. Maybe I'll give away Grimaldi gift cards. I have $50 Grimaldi gift cards if anyone has the balls to pick and exactly tell me how far USA Soccer will go but they have to go that far. We'll take your name down, and you can get Grimaldi's. You can get the Brooklyn Bridge. Oh, my God, the extra ricotta cheese. The side salads, everything that I like there. But you gotta have an opinion, man. You got to have an opinion, and I want to know what your opinion is there. But we're excited. This is going to be a fun weekend if you're a soccer fan right now. Austria, Spain. And when you see these titans of Europe playing, all of Europe is watching. Not all of Europe is watching the Patriots play the Chiefs. All of Europe is not watching the Packers, Vikings on Thursday Night Football. All of Europe is watching these games at every bar, everywhere, and they love it. And we're not ready yet in this country. So that's my final topic before we turn the phones off, or I'll just do a podcast. Let's replay my podcast or something. My final topic is going to be, what can we learn? What can the NFL learn about soccer, the World Cup? I'll go first. Grass fields. There should never, ever be an NFL game ever played again, ever, on any type of turf. If I'm the NFL Players Association, I am holding an emergency meeting, the union, and telling the owners that we will strike, we will not play unless you put grass into every stadium there. Mark Davis spent extra money and put out a field tray. We have grass that comes in the stadium and goes out of the stadium. Mark Davis just could have put turf down and everybody would have been fine with it. Same crowd, same nightclub, same Champions Club, Twitch Lounge, everybody having a great time. Mark Davis cared so much about grass that he put in a tray, and then when they're not playing, UNLV plays on the turf and the grass tray goes outside and they water it and they treat it great. Why aren't they doing that in others? Now, look, I know Pittsburgh and other stadiums are antiquated. They can't put in a tray. They can't do that. But should they be mandated to put in grass to save these players? That's a big topic for me because turf should be done. We know now that guys blow out their knees. They blow out their Achilles. Most of them do it because they're playing on turf or they've been playing on turf for so long. So I think that's something that I'd like to dive into too today. And what did we learn about the fans of the global soccer fan base of the world that's better than American fans? I think they care more. They don't care more than the black hole and diehard Raider fans. I don't mean that. But overall, they care more. Because this event is about your country, not about your team. All these fans have a local team they support, Bayern Munich. They're in the La Liga with Barcelona. Okay, they love these teams. If you root for Barcelona or Real Madrid, you have your team in the Premier League. I'm a Tottenham fan. You might like Arsenal. You might like Crystal Palace. You might be a fan of one of the many teams that play in Europe. But when they all come together and you're playing for your country, it's just different. It's better. And we don't have anything like that here other than the Olympics. The only thing we have similar to that is the hockey team. When they go play for a gold and they beat Canada. Hello, Canada. Hello, Canada. I went and saw you win your World Cup game, but we beat you in hockey, which matters more. And then when it comes to the passion that the Europeans have for the Ryder Cup, I'm wearing my Ryder Cup hat, they're better than us. So I just told you two fan bases that are better than us here in America. European golf fans at the Ryder Cup are much better than our New York idiots who scream and yell and are heinous at the New York golf courses. They're much better than us. And then these fans that are coming from Norway and the Netherlands and Scotland and taking over cities. We don't take over cities. I mean, I'm in Raider Nation. I'm a card-carrying member of the Black Hole. We don't take over cities. We take over parking lots, right? We take over parking lots in Miami and in Detroit and in Denver. We have a couple of big tailgates. We don't take over cities. That's what these fans are doing. So is there a fan base that you believe, and it could be us, the Oakland Raider fans, Oakland, now Vegas, L.A., we're here for you too, that have the passion that you've seen here, and can we learn from it? Can we learn from that? 702-365-9200. I just gave you 25 minutes of uninterrupted. I don't think I took a breath. So I'm ready to go. Right? I don't think I took a breath for 25 minutes. Let's see who's there on the other side. Got a lot of content to play today. I think you'll enjoy it. I only play things that I'm involved with. Or if it's a coach interview or something like that, we'll dive into it. But today's about soccer. And I am desperate to hear from a soccer fan, or we have failed miserably in Las Vegas and sports radio. And we failed in Vegas on sports radio for decades until I got here full time. We need to hear from soccer fans in Vegas or all around the country. I know you're out there.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
So we'll go long. Team Ream, only man there, able to steer it to Adams, flicks it along Tillman. He's got Balogun making a run off him. Can he get around to that ball? To the deflection, Balogun scores! Flo Balogun, first to react to the deflection. He'll do the LeBron celebration. It's 1-0 U.S.
FIFA on the call. We don't want to get arrested today. I don't want the FIFA cops coming in and arresting me. I have a good weekend lined up. JT, back with you. I've been shut out so far today, like a Raider game last year in the first quarter. I'm shut out. Who's going to be out there? Who's excited about soccer? I'm not talking about defensive backs for the Raiders. I'm talking about USA soccer until I'm blue in the face. So is there a soccer fan out there that's enjoying it? Are you going to a game? Have you been to a game? Let us know if you're excited about soccer. If you're not excited about soccer, no big deal, but you can connect on the fan topic of what soccer fans do and what they do better than us, or what we can learn from these great soccer fans who are coming to our country. You know, a lot of people are getting on these shows. A lot of people are getting on these shows saying that, Europe and the world, they love America, and we don't love America in America. That's crap. I don't do that. That's lame politic radio, and I don't do that. I'm not a person that drives phone calls and people saying we don't like ourselves here in America. So stay off me if you're that person. But what they're saying is the Euros who are coming here are pretty impressed by our stadiums, our experiences outside our stadiums, our gas stations that serve food, our Walmarts, our Buc-ee's. Like they've never been in Europe to a Walmart, I guess. I've been to Europe a number of times. But when I go to Europe, I don't go to gas stations and I don't look to eat at Walmarts. I guess they don't have them there. So everybody in Europe's over here saying, man, this is cool, because in Europe, they have pubs. Pubs are pretty cool. But if you're going into a pub, Ari, I've learned, if you're going into a pub, you're there to drink. Like we have sports bars where people go to get chicken fingers. And they go get potato skins.
I feel attacked.
Yeah, they don't do that in Europe. They go there to drink. They want a Guinness. They want their particular beer, and they want to drink a lot. So that's pretty aggressive. That's what I like about Europe. Like when they go to a pub, when I went to an Arsenal game there, when I went outside the Emirates, they had a whole bunch of pubs, like 30 of them. And all 30 of them were packed. And there was a line to get in every one. And when I did finally get in one, I had to get to the bar, which was 3 deep, and order multiple drinks because everybody was drinking the bar under. That's awesome. And then they go into the game, and then they're highly intoxicated once they get in the game. We used to do that in America in the 70s and 80s, because in the 70s and 80s in America, you used to be allowed to tailgate. You know, at Milwaukee, they play in a brew city, and you're not allowed to tailgate outside. A little bit you can in Milwaukee. Do you know at Dodger Stadium at Chavez Ravine, where Harry Ruiz and Paul Gutierrez go, they love their Dodgers, you are not allowed to crack open a beer in the parking lot. They got guys driving up in golf carts. You can't have a beer in the parking lot. You can't tailgate. You can't put a table out there. In Oakland, it was some of the best tailgates I've ever been to for an A's game. A's and Yankees. Chris in West Oakland's got the ribs going. The cerveza's flowing. Back then, Corona. Now Modelo. And really aggressive to party before a baseball game. Well, that's what the Euros are doing. The Euros are doing that at an alarming rate, coming here to our soccer games. They're drinking our bars under. They're drinking everything they can get their hands on before the game because they don't like spending $24 and giving it to FIFA for a beer inside. Some people do, but not everybody does. So it's a different way of treating a sporting experience, right? It's a different way. You know, Cisco says, that was me walking into the Coliseum in Oakland in the mid-'90s, drinking all day long. Yeah, that doesn't happen at Allegiant Stadium. I mean, people are cracking beers in the parking lot at Allegiant, but nothing like Oakland. Are you kidding me? I used to pull up on BART. I would see smokestacks of barbecues going forever and beer trucks leaving. Like people coming in, like, dropping off beer. That doesn't happen at Allegiant, and that's okay. Allegiant's more of a glorified entertainment football experience. You want to get inside Allegiant Stadium. You want to go to the Torch. You want to get to your seat or to your nightclub or your club section or your seats and hang out. It's not a great tailgating experience, and I think that'll change when the Raiders start winning. When the Raiders start winning, I think more fans will go, no, I'm gonna wait till about 10 minutes before kickoff, and I'm gonna have a couple beers out here in the parking lot. That doesn't exist, and I don't know how long away we are from that. It could be a while. But we'll see. Soccer fans, Johnny in Vegas, the legendary J.O.D. Oh, my God, one of my favorite friends and soccer heads from one steakhouse. Johnny, nice to see from you. How you enjoying the World Cup?
Ole, 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 ole. How about the World Cup break? How exciting is everything? My Lord, how about America winning last night? And that red card, Brick, that was messy. No way would that have happened. No way, Brick. No way.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they call that red card if it's Ronaldo, Messi, Eric Holland. I don't think they do that for the stars. But J.O.D., you got to give a lot of credit to the United States being a man down. You grew up in Dublin. You love soccer internationally. What's it like playing man down for 30 minutes and trying to hold on for a win?
Oh, that's a tough one, Brick. Well, the boys did it. Like, I didn't think, like, I don't really, like, respect American soccer. Like, I don't put up, like, with, like, the kind of the quality here, like, the same way in Europe. They're not as tough. They're kind of like pansies, you know what I mean? Kind of saying, I don't know what it is. They're just not. It's it doesn't have the same vibe for me. But to see those guys and give that 100% what they did was amazing, you know?
Yeah, J.O.D.
Really enjoyable.
Yeah, one last thing, because you have my back. You've always had my back, and I'm shocked you called today, but you're always listening. Thank you. You know the Mexicans are upset at me because I'm going with England, and you don't support England either. So explain to me this England game at Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, which feels to me like it's a huge advantage for Mexico. Not if they were playing in Monterrey, it'd be an advantage, but not like Azteca Stadium. What do the Brits have to deal with going into that venue?
Well, I think it's going to be tough. Forget about the fans and the screaming and everything like that, but just the height, you know what I mean? That with their on their lungs and been able to run around for that long against those guys, you know? I think, by the way, I think it's going to be fantastic. I think it's if the Brits do win, if England do pull it off, and it would be truly amazing. And we have a great friendly rivalry between Ireland and England. You know, like they were our aggressor for 800 years, but we've moved on from that now. But we're still kind of like Yankees Red Sox kind of thing, where you're kind of against them. But at the end of the day, though, I'm kind of pulling for them too, because it makes it a lot more exciting to have England in there. So it's fun. England would be nowhere without Harry Kane. Brick. They wouldn't even have made it. You know what I mean? That's their closer every time. Without Harry Kane, they're done, you know?
You just said it'd be more exciting later on in the tournament if we had England instead of Mexico. Can you clarify that? Because that's a lightning rod question, or I'm bringing up. You're saying England draws more eyeballs than Mexico?
Oh, 100%. Worldwide, yes. Worldwide, because if they're a European team, but there's the bigger names around there. Can you name a guy in the Mexican team, Brick?
I cannot, but I'm not a fan of Mexico.
I can name 10 guys, and most soccer fans around the world can name the England team, but I guarantee they can't name 5 guys from the Mexican team. And God bless the Mexican team, you know what I mean? God bless them, you know. But it's just they don't have the same dynamic as the England team. You know, there's pretty much mostly around Europe. People are going against them. You think the Scots want England to win on Sunday, Brick?
No, they don't. J.O.D., thanks for the call. Greatly appreciate you. Proving that I have friends, and they listen, and they know soccer. I was getting worried there. My son's in studio. I was sweating. I'm like, man, anybody listening in Vegas today? We got any soccer fans? I was at a bar last night with 100 soccer fans. We want to get some soccer fans going and talk about Spain just scored. Spain goes up 1-0 on Austria at the 38-minute mark. So that's interesting there, too. So we got a goal on the board today as soccer is running rampant here. FIFA, this is the round of 32. the round of 32 as we continue on. If you're an NBA fan, I'm keeping an eye on Shams Charania on any type of breaking news when it comes to what's going on here and how it's going to play out. We'll do that. We'll take a look at that. I think the Warriors are a team that has to answer for themselves today. What are they waiting for? I think the Lakers filled their roster. The Lakers are going to have a very competitive team without LeBron. I think Miami long-term with having Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bam Adebayo, they have the core of their team set up for a while. I think the Clippers got better. I think Sacramento got better in the draft. My Knicks didn't get better, but my Knicks are good. And all the other teams out there in the NBA that are trying to survive, because it seems like all these free agents, man, want to go to the big markets. Jaylen Brown, the big storyline as he ends up with Philadelphia and how that will play out here. One other Raider story. We have sound from Fernando Mendoza. We'll play this. He was on a podcast for FOS, and they asked him about his money and if he's going to make some donations. Listen to what this sharp man, this young man said back to this question.
Are you giving back or planning to give back at all to Indiana to keep their powerhouse run going?
Being completely honest with you, not at the moment. I haven't signed my Raiders contract yet. I mean, definitely going to consider it in the future. However, as of now, I'm just trying to focus on Raiders football, and I love to give back. I actually did give a donation to the University of Miami as their part in trying to fight MS. That's a cause that's a little bit more dear to my heart, to be completely honest, more than the transfer portal. So I was able to give back to them through the National MS Society, and really just trying to focus on the Mendoza Family Fund and putting all my resources and all my focus and all my charitable actions at the current moment to fighting MS and hopefully one day finding a cure.
All right, that's probably the greatest answer I've ever heard from a player who hasn't signed their contract yet. Ever. There's him going, no, I'm gonna donate to MS. I made a donation to MS. Fernando's mom has MS. Hopefully you got a chance to see her with all the coverage of the draft and when they came here together as a family. A beautiful woman, inside and out. Their family is fantastic. And look, Fernando, as they work out the language of his contract, that I'm sure is going to be signed here momentarily, I would assume. I don't know when it's going to be signed, but pretty quick. That once he gets paid, he's going to write checks. But I think the priority is his mom and MS. That's where I would assume his foundation is going to be. Max Crosby's foundation, he wrote a $100,000 check and three $25,000 checks. So close to $200,000 Max wrote checks at his foundation for various charities. Pit bull rescue, animal abuse prevention. Max Crosby is giving away money to high schools, doing other things there to try to help out. So for Fernando, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't know what Brock Bauer or Ashton Genty's priority is going to be when it comes to their foundations, but God knows I'm going to help. Whatever I can do to help, we'll put them on the radio and help them any way we can. 1-0 Spain. That's a big boy team. That's one of those teams you expect to go deep into the tournament if they win today and move out of this in their first knockout game in the round of 32. My Yankees continue to lose. We can get a good clip out of this. My Yankees continue to lose at an alarming rate. I have called for the firing of Aaron Boone for over 6 years. He should have been fired. He should be fired now again for the 7-game losing streak. The team has one of the worst hitting slumps in the history of the Yankees and all of baseball. In the history of all of baseball and the Yankees are going through their worst slump of all time. They're breaking records. So I'm calling for the firing of Aaron Boone tonight or tomorrow if they lose to the Twins, and they got to give someone else a voice inside Yankee Stadium. Someone else needs to come in and be the voice of a team that's trying to win. It happens all the time in sports. It happens every day in hockey. It happened here with John Tortorella in Vegas. They got rid of Bruce Cassidy, who won a Stanley Cup for Vegas with 8 games remaining, and Tortorella took them all the way to Game 6 of the Stanley Cup. It works. When I grew up as a kid, they fired Billy Martin. Bob Lemon came in, led the Yankees to the World Series. So I'm a big believer of that, and I think he should go. And I think there's problems in San Francisco with the Giants. from everything they're doing, from Buster Posey all the way down to the bench. They got big problems in San Francisco, and their fans are starting to walk away. A lot of topics to get to today if you want to get through. 702-365-9200. Next hour, my conversation with Damon Bruce. I was on his podcast. It was Raider heavy. He used to be really hard on the Raiders. Now he loves what the Raiders are doing because of Fernando. Okay. It's nice. You don't want everybody bashing the Raiders all the time. We want people to be fair with the silver and black. Let's keep it going. Have a great 4th of July, everybody. We're live from Vegas, and we're brought to you by the M Resort Spa and Casino.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
Mate, everyone is telling me altitude. If you've ever played in altitude, you can't breathe. Going up the stairs is tiring and all this sort of stuff. And these are people who've all played at the Azteca, so obviously it's going to be a key problem. But even if it was on sea level, England are so rubbish, it doesn't really matter. Mexico come into this as favourites. They were great yesterday, weren't they, against Ecuador? Really lively, great energy, looked good. England have looked the complete opposite throughout this tournament.
What's that guy's name, Ari, again, from...
Dan Thomas.
Dan
ESPN.
Thomas from ESPN FC.
Mate.
Got a big match coming up with England at Mexico. That's going to be great. Excited about all the soccer. NBA free agency. Big Al in San Francisco. Normally, he's in Vegas on a little staycation. What's going on, Big Al?
No, just was out at the pool this morning, got my laps in, got a little bit of sun. Life is pretty good here. Every time I come here, I always wonder why am I leaving?
Do you mind? Hold on. I don't know where you're at. Can you remind everybody where you're staying in fabulous Las Vegas?
I am at the Fontainebleau Hotel.
Woo, big shot. That's big money, man. That's big money at the Fontainebleau, man. You got to have some cash to stay there.
You got to have some cash to eat here. It's expensive. It is expensive to eat here, but it's a beautiful hotel.
Yes.
The rooms are great. The pools are unbelievable. It's spacious. There's a lot of it's made for a lot of people. And right now, it's off season.
Good.
It's very manageable, and I'm really enjoying it. I've never stayed here before.
How come? It's great, and they have the Tom Brady's Hall of Excellence with Jim and Fran Gray. You should definitely check that out. Real quick, why did the Warriors not make a play at Giannis and/or Jaylen Brown? There's some big boys trading hands. Are the Warriors just waiting for LeBron?
I think so. I think that's pretty evident. Look, we woke up on Monday morning, and I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that Draymond opted out. And then when I thought about why he opted out, it was kind of pretty obvious. Okay, Rich Paul is his agent. LeBron's agent is Rich Paul, and those guys have been talking about playing together forever and a day. And the Warriors are putting all their marbles into that one bucket. And with that, they're gonna either come back with LeBron, or they're gonna have to re-sign Draymond, and they're gonna go back in as a very, very aging team going into next season. Draymond doesn't opt out of $27 million. Okay. If he doesn't think that there's going to be a return on investment. In this case, his return on investment is an opportunity for the Warriors to be able to have LeBron come play with them. The most interesting thing about this whole thing with LeBron, and I read it yesterday, and before yesterday, I thought it was going to be the most massive sign and trade. We went to this, and remember them, the Seattle Supersonics back in 2002. The Lakers went ahead and signed/traded, not a sign and trade, but for 4 players yesterday, and have filled up their roster. Mm-hmm. So this is not about a sign and trade with LeBron, where everybody is trying. You have to get a whole bunch of people involved in draft picks, and to make the numbers work. This is going to be a pretty straightforward deal, and that the Lakers aren't going to take back any cash.
Right.
I look at LeBron going to. I can't see LeBron going anywhere else but Golden State, and all of a sudden Golden State becomes a very, very formidable team in the West again next year. Older, but formidable. Okay. And we'll see where it lands next week.
All right, buddy. Thanks for the call from Vegas at the Fontainebleau. Wow, that's a shock. Big Al. I'm going to probably see him tonight. He's in town. Good guy, good friend. 702-365-9200. I really believe that LeBron's probably in play for Cleveland, the Warriors, and now Philadelphia. I think Philadelphia with getting Jaylen Brown, that had to get LeBron's attention. Don't know if they can make it and pencil it, but that got his attention. Big D is battling. He's part of the chat. He's in the caller queue right now. Big D, keep the fight going. How are you, brother?
All right, brother. You know what? I'm hanging in there. You know what? Considering what's going on, I'm grateful to be here. God's got me. And 2026 is a wash. Pretty much I'm stuck indoors. And normally this time I'd be up at Donner Lake, sitting on the lakeside with my best friends. But that's okay. You know, we move on. 2027 is going to be a blowout. We're going to plan in a month in Maui. So, good. You know, if things being normal, I'd be inviting you over from Modelo's Ribs and chips and salsa for a watch party there. But again, this is not a normal year, and that's okay. England's at a big disadvantage, not only because they got to play in that stadium, but the elevation, 7,300 feet. Mexican teams have been playing in that elevation all this whole time, and England's going to be very winded. I'm afraid, you know. But they got to go. You're up against it. I want to wish everybody here. Everybody in the chat, everybody in the Raider Nation, all the bricklayers, happy 4th of July, and take care, and God bless you all.
Love you, Big D. Appreciate it. He's going through a health battle right now. Dear friend of mine, legendary member of the Black Hole, and my wife exclusively makes his salsa. The salsa recipe that Big D gave to my wife hangs in our kitchen cupboard. And it's still there in his original pen. It's great salsa. Big D, you should sell that stuff, man. That was a good hour. We might keep the stream going for a little bit, but we're a radio show. We're live on the radio. We're brought to you by Tommy White and the 872 laborers building this city on time and on budget.
It's the JT the Brick Show.
You just get up every day and you take one step at a time and you keep going and you show up. We have a big mountain to climb, but we're not trying to do it all in one day.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
It's really important to me that we're a gritty team, that the way that they were back in the old days. It's nothing that we say, it's what we do on the field. All the little things that win that have nothing to do with scheme.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Yes, final hour of the week. It's summertime radio. And we are rolling. We'll get you through the summer with some good in-depth training camp coverage coming up at the end of July. It's the beginning of the July calendar. We're going to have some time off still. We're going to kind of cruise, do some radio shows with soccer, NBA. We'll be at NBA Summer League. Then we'll talk Raiders when we can see our eyeballs are at practice and we can see what's happening there. We've already talked about everything you could talk about with the Raiders. No one got in trouble. Knock wood. Everybody do that with me. Knock wood. No one get arrested. No one in trouble. Everyone's behaved. Everybody's good. Keep working out. Lift your weights. If you're walking the streets of Croatia or Paris and you're on vacation with your wife or kids, enjoy vacation if you're the Raiders, and then come back ready to work because this has to be a turnaround season. It has to be. Last year, they were the worst team in football. The worst. They had 3 wins. That's unacceptable. You saw Tom Brady's quote? Nobody did a good job. Wow. That's Tom Brady. He said it. Nobody did a good job. So everybody who walks into that locker room, you're not going to forget about last year because it's part of your legacy. But if you're still on the team, you don't want to ever experience that again. There's nothing worse in football than losing and having to show up every day to practice, lift weights, and go to meetings. Do you know how hard it is to go to a meeting, to look at film when you're losing and you're on an 8-game losing streak? And you're done in the gym and you shower and everyone says, get to auditorium blank and we're going to have a meeting for 2 hours and look at tape. It sucks when you're losing. When you're winning, you grab a sandwich, you grab a protein shake, you walk to the meeting, you're smiling, you're winning. Everybody's talking about you. This team's got to start winning games. I don't care how they win. I don't care. I don't care if they win on a late field goal from the Tokyo Toe, if it's them. I don't care if it's a late touchdown on a quarterback draw from Kirk Cousins inside the 3. I don't care. Give me some wins. 29 seasons coming up for me. 29. Pretty much all of it being the pre- and post-game host of the Raiders, other than a couple in between transition, but still working for the team. So this is hard when you lose. Got to stop losing. You don't have to lose because you're a young team. Plenty of young teams win. You don't have to keep losing because you had a bad year last year. The last 2 seasons, the Patriots went from 4 wins to the Super Bowl. The Commanders went from 4 wins to the NFC Championship game. Last 2 years. You want a better example? How about Denver? Denver was destroyed with the cap. They had Russell Wilson. They had to eat over $200 million of that. The dead cap hit was enormous. They wanted Russell Wilson out of the building. Sean Payton's like, there's no way in hell I'm working with him. True story. That's exactly what happened. Sean Payton says, I like Kenny Chesney music. I like to have a couple of beverages. I like to outwork everybody. I ain't going to work every day with him. Get him out. Well, they were supposed to, because getting rid of Russell Wilson and drafting Bo Nix, on paper, they should have sucked for years. We're worried about playing Fernando. When do we play Fernando? Dan Graziano today. ESPN, I don't know. Cousins is going to start. We're worried. Was Denver worried about Bo Nix? How'd that work out? They threw him in. He did fine. Bo Nix ain't no Fernando. Fernando's better than Bo Nix. I can promise you that. But if he doesn't play, we don't know. So I support what the organization is doing. We assume they're going to start Kirk Cousins. We don't know that to be fact. Kirk Cousins is going to have to navigate the playbook. He's going to have to navigate the playbook and do it right. And if he's able to do it right, then he's going to keep the team as long as he keeps winning. And if Kirk Cousins goes 5-1 or 4-3, he's going to continue to play. And Fernando's going to learn. He's going to be in all those meetings with Kirk Cousins, all the coaches, and he's going to learn until his time is called. The only way Mendoza plays is 2 ways. Number 1, he outplays Kirk Cousins at camp. Number 2, he plays if Kirk Cousins can't win. That's it. There's no door number 3. There's no mystery here. Fernando will play if Cousins loses. Fernando will play if he outplays Cousins in training camp. That's it. I don't think he's going to be able to outplay Cousins in camp because Cousins is a savant when it comes to this playbook. He knows this playbook better than Sam Darnold, who won a Super Bowl with it. Fernando doesn't. He's just learning it. So how's he going to be better than Kirk Cousins? And I don't think Kirk Cousins is going to play poorly in camp, in practice. They barely practice. They barely put on pads. You think Cousins is going to lose his job in shorts? No. So this is Cousins' team until he doesn't prove to win, and then they have to move on from him. So I want to see Cousins do well. Been a really good player in this league. Really good player in this league, but doesn't have any significant signature wins in the postseason. Kirk Cousins has got a lot of regular season signature wins. You like that? You like that? Remember with the Commanders? Remember the great throw that he made in Minnesota? There's shocking wins coming from behind. He made many of them. But Cousins is not going to be playing in the preseason. I doubt it. And Cousins is going to do a great job being a mentor to Fernando until it's time for Fernando to come in. So we'll see. It's going to be an exciting topic. Everyone we interview. Everyone, Ari, we're going to interview at camp. Everyone. What do you think about Fernando? When's he going to play? Here's Jeff Chadia from NFL Network. Here's, we're going to have them all there, right? They all come on with us. What questions you want me to ask? How do you like the food in Henderson? No, it's going to be when do you think Fernando plays? And they're all going to have different opinions. That's coming up. A guy with a strong opinion is Damon Bruce. He's got a big YouTube feed like I'm trying to build here on JT the Brick. He has the Damon Bruce Plus, and it's an exclusive all radio, but it's only on YouTube. It should be on the radio because it's better than most on San Francisco. But he was forced to go to YouTube. He pivoted, and it's one of the best decisions he made. We did a dual live stream yesterday morning, and we talked about the Raiders. He asked me about Fernando Mendoza.
So, what do you like most about Fernando Mendoza as he begins his Raiders career? I know Nakobe Dean is talking about aura. How is his aura? How's your aura doing? How are the auras? How is Fernando?
Great question. I've had some tremendous access with him. So I hosted a week ago the rookie draft class luncheon where 31 rookies came to Allegiant Stadium. There were partners and sponsors, and Fernando sat with me on the couch, and I had about a half hour with him. He's one of the most engaging people I've ever met, and I've been meeting a lot of people like you over my life. I will say this. In the last sit-down I did with him, he's like a computer chip. He's right next to me, and next to him is 3 other wide receivers, the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd round pick. And they all had great answers to questions. But Fernando, when I asked him a question, he pauses like a cyborg for about a half of one Mississippi. And then you see the computer chip go off behind his eyes, behind his eyeballs. He processes everything, looks me right dead in the eye, and then answers the question brilliantly, like a guy who's been doing this for 20 years. So check that box. Check the mom, the dad, the brothers. Check him getting a degree in engineering at Cal. I mean, I can't even put a math equation together. He played football and got a degree at Cal while being at Indiana. So he's the perfect football specimen, and everything looks great. But it's a very unique situation, Damon, because he comes into Kirk Cousins, who's had the playbook and excelled with it with Clint Kubiak in Minnesota. No one knows this playbook better than Kirk Cousins, including Sam Darnold, who won the Super Bowl with it. Kirk Cousins even knows it better. So for Fernando, I don't see him starting the season off unless he's electric in the preseason and in practice. And then we have a portion in the Raiders' schedule that if he doesn't play early against New Orleans and Miami in the home opener, you got a window where the Raiders play. Get this: Kansas City, Buffalo, the Rams, Seattle, and the Niners. Okay? Yeah. Did you just hear that? Now, how do we get that schedule when we only won 3 games and got the first pick? I don't remember the Niners having that schedule last year, and they were last in the NFC West coming into it. So there's a gauntlet in front of them. Fernando will play. I don't know if it'll be week 7, week 9. The bye week is week 13, Damon. How do you have a bye week 13? What are you going to do, throw him in then? That's a little bit late. So,
he looks
great.
I totally understand how working a waiting to play rookie doesn't fit into that gauntlet of his schedule, but I actually think that Cousins being there is a great thing for Fernando Mendoza, and it's the reason why Brady and Spytech basically went out and did it. I think to learn at the hand of a guy who understands the playbook, who has run this offense, it's going to be really good. Fernando, like you said, he's like a sponge. He just soaks up moments and he learns on the fly. And, you know, hey, if he wins the job, throw him right in there. But throwing young guys in there before they have to is a great way to ruin confidence. And this guy's got all the confidence in the world. I like the slow play of Fernando Mendoza into the season. And believe me, when you throw him in there, you know, this guy was in the national championship game. I know the Niners are a big team, but he was in a national championship game. He played Ohio State. Like, I don't think he is going to see an opponent and go, man, that's just too much for me, no matter who it's going to be. And that's the reason why he went number 1 overall in the draft. He's got no fear about him. I like the slow playing of Mendoza into the year, though. I think it's smart. It's something that the Raiders 3 years ago don't do. I think this is a smarter, better built Raider front office, an organization right now, and obviously Kubiak. It's got to be an instant difference. What has changed behind the scenes at the Intermountain Health Performance Center? What are the things that fans cannot see with their own 2 eyes that you've seen about Kubiak?
It's just pure football. And Pete Carroll, you know, I host a coaches show, so I did that with Josh McDaniels, Antonio Pierce, Pete Carroll. A year ago right now, to this date, July 1st last year, Pete Carroll didn't have his first practice. Let that sink in. He didn't have his first practice. He was fired months ago. So he didn't make it a year. Okay, let that sink in. And he came out there and everybody was shooting baskets and they had these giant balls that people were getting into and rolling balls and people were faking that they were wrestling. I was good with it. It's Pete Carroll. He's the architect of the Seahawks to this day. Let Pete cook. They had T-shirts, Competition Pete, with the Pete out there. I was all in. It was a disaster. And Pete Carroll tried, and it didn't work, and the best of Pete Carroll. Clint Kubiak comes in. He doesn't talk much. He's not a media guy who's like, come to me afterwards. I want everybody to see me.
Right.
It's all ball. Fred Biletnikoff. talked to me the other day. He's been at practice. He says, this is what it should be. There's no high fives. There's no cheerleaders. Everybody's out there getting as much football in as possible in the limited time they have. And Kubiak is a professor. He's got much better coaching, top to bottom. He's got much better players. The Raiders got 7 new starters in free agency. Starters. Pretty good players. Kwity Paye, Nakobe Dean. They get a slot corner from the Bills who's played in 4 years in a row in the playoffs. And then they drafted, I thought, pretty well. They got Tyler Linderbaum at center. So for your audience and my audience, the key to the Raider resurgence is this. The Yankees had a big 4 when they had their 4 best with Cheetah, Posada, Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams. The Raiders' core 4 now is Tyler Linderbaum, Fernando Mendoza, Brock Bowers, and Ashton Genty. You can't screw that up 2-3 years from now because they're on rookie contracts. They're all really good, and they're going to be here a while. Just figure out the rest of the roster. Wait for Denver to come back to earth. Wait for Mahomes and that team to age out and hope that the Chargers don't get good with Harbaugh and the Raiders will have a fighting chance. I think the Raiders in the next 2 to 3 years will have a team that plays deep into the playoffs.
I hate trade rumors because I don't think anybody's got any inside information on anything unless you're Diana Rossini getting pulled over by a cop and you just want to drop as many names as possible to get out of a ticket. And you know what? Of all of her sins, that's the least offensive one. No one wants to. Everyone will do anything they can to get out of a ticket. I respect that. Max Crosby, like you said, the Raiders season, as much as I like the team and the way that they're building things, if they don't find a few wins quickly, could turn into a rough start. Would a rough start really truly put Crosby back on the trading block that a lot of people insist he's on right now? But I reject that. I do not think that Mark Davis wants to trade Max Crosby. I certainly know that Kubiak doesn't want to trade. Rob Leonard, who's coming in as a new defensive coordinator, why would he want to give up? I am sticking with Max Crosby unless the bottom falls out quickly, and then we can talk. Do you think that's the right strategy?
I think that's fair. I don't think Max is going anywhere, but I think the other side, that's fair. If the Raiders get off to a slow start, it's just like what we see in training camp. There will be a quarterback that goes down. A star quarterback is going to go down at some point. And if someone called the Raiders and said, man, Aiden O'Connell's good, and he is. Aiden O'Connell, is an Indiana guy who lived at Purdue. He's a good player. And you want to talk about a guy who's had 5 offensive coordinators and 4 head coaches. Would someone call the Raiders, Arizona? I don't know why he's not the starter already for the Jets over Geno. Yeah, if in week 5, if the Raiders are 1-4 and someone calls on Max Crosby, would the Raiders listen? Yeah, the Raiders would listen now to anybody. But it's funny you mentioned Diana Rossini because she's a so-called NFL insider, and I respect that. And guess what I am? I'm an NFL insider. I'm coming into 29 years with an NFL team, covering the Hall of Fame, doing radio uninterrupted for 30 years. All I got to do is go down to Kinko's and get a business card made saying JT the Brick, NFL Insider. And while all this Max Crosby stuff was going on, I tell the story. I was at a dinner with him, the Commitment to Excellence Awards, my wife, his wife, me and him sitting across from each other, a couple of days before he was traded to Baltimore. And everybody was saying it's the Eagles or the Niners or this. And Max and I are just laughing about it because I know him in the NFL world better than any other NFL insider. Fact. And I was laughing because no one knew what the hell they were talking about. So someone's going to get it right. If he ever does get traded, someone's going to go on their timeline and say, I called it. I called him to the Niners or the Eagles or the Patriots back in the day. But it hasn't happened yet for a reason. And the Raiders are really happy to have him back after Baltimore did the Raiders dirty and did Max Crosby very dirty also.
It was wrong. When the fact that he never even got to talk to anyone from the front office in Baltimore just shows you how shady and underhanded and how cowardly the whole thing was done. And that's another reason why I think that Mark Davis, who, you have explained to me is loyal to a fault at times. I don't think Mark Davis wants to put Max Crosby through anything like that again.
All right. That was my conversation with Damon Bruce. It went on much longer. And you can check that out on my YouTube channel at JT the Brick YT or Damon Bruce Plus. I thought we had a good conversation. We're going to be doing a lot more. It was nice to talk to Damon. Damon's evolved a bit when it comes to the Raiders. He used to give me hell about the Raiders, and I'd give him hell about a couple of his teams, but he likes the direction the Raiders are going in because he's an Indiana fan, and we got Mendoza now, who's a god from Indiana, winning the Heisman and the national championship. All right, everybody, we got more to go. If you want to get through, we'll hear from you, 702-365-9200. We'll thank our proud partners. We're off tomorrow because 4th of July is Saturday, so we get a holiday. We're getting it tomorrow. So the building is closed, and I'll be backyard brick in the pool. And then Friday, I do a 4-hour Mad Dog show on July 5th. Sunday, probably be recapping NBA free agency, USA Soccer. USA Soccer plays on Monday in Seattle. That's a good road trip. If you can get up there, that's going to be nuts. That's as close to a home field advantage as America will ever have in soccer. Lumen Field in Seattle is the spot for soccer in America, and the USA plays with a big opportunity to go further. I like that. Because I don't think we have many home field advantages. Mexico does. They play at Azteca Stadium. They got a big home field advantage, and they're going to be able to take advantage of that against England. And if England beats Mexico in Mexico City, that's going to be wild. That'd be one of the greatest wins in the history of England. Not because Mexico is iconic. Mexico is not Messi and Mbappe. They're not elite, but Mexico's good. They're just like the U.S. They're good, above average. And if Mexico loses at home to England, that'll be one of the signature wins that England's had since the early 60s. A lot on the line in that game. Pete from San Diego. Appreciate you calling, Pete. What's happening?
Hey, long-time listener, JT, thanks for what you do. But, this whole Max Crosby thing to Baltimore, and, we're calling it they were dirty, they did this, they did that. Why would they go through that exercise of doing the deal if they had no intention of doing it, or did they have an intention and then get cold feet once they did it and then they did them dirty? I mean, I just don't understand the process or why they would do that.
Well, they did it. Look, I had a private conversation, not for air, with Rachel Crosby, Max's wife. She was with him. And I'm going to never repeat it. It was private. But from what I know on my side of it, from gathering all the information I got, they had no intention of doing a deal with Max. Before Max got on that plane, and he got on that plane, which wasn't private, which anyone at his level would have been flying private from the other team. They put him in D.C., not direct to Baltimore, because you can't fly direct to Baltimore. And the way they made them sit in the lobby for hours and didn't talk to him, it was one of the worst decisions an NFL team has ever made to a future Hall of Famer. And the Raider Nation will never forget it. And we will hold Baltimore accountable for the way they treated our guy, Max Crosby. It was brutal. It was awful. It was embarrassing to Max and his wife. I love Max and his wife. They're good people. They deserve better than that. So we will always be against Baltimore. Not only did they beat the Raiders in an AFC championship game on a Shannon Sharp touchdown, but the way they treated Max, I will root against Baltimore every bleeping game they play forever.
Just hit on Gannon, kind of did us in that day. But, but I mean, what are your thoughts? Why would they do that? If they never had an intention, why would they do that? I've been racking my brain for 2 months now, trying to figure out if they're not going to do it, why would they treat him like that? Or just to show that they're cool, that they were interested, and then all of a sudden they changed their mind?
Oh, they were definitely interested. And appreciate the call. They were definitely interested. At one point, they were interested. But I think when the Raiders paid for Tyler Linderbaum, and they realized that they didn't have Linderbaum, and then they realized that they could get another player, they changed their mind abruptly, and it was all in the timeline of Max and Rachel getting on a commercial flight to go back east. And what they should have done, you're not going to be able to call a commercial pilot and say, turn around, right? Private jet, you can do it. You can call the guy on the private jet and say, hey, turn the private jet around. You can't do that. And they treated him poorly. And, look, I won't even tell you what they're saying profanely in the chat about Baltimore. Hey, I want to thank all the bricklayers, everybody in our chat. We appreciate everybody. Thank you. Enjoy a couple of days off from me. I know I am. I'll be back on Monday. We got another about 30 minutes or so of radio only. We'll be streaming. I'll be live on Sunday on SiriusXM. Please have a safe 4th of July to all of our YouTubers out there and everybody streaming the show. And we'll jump into radio as always. Coming up next, brought to you by Flowing Tide Taverns. Great food, great grog, great fun. Flowing Tide.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by M Resort Spa and Casino, the official hotel of the Las Vegas Raiders.
I think there's just so much that is unproven in that wide receiver room. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how this offense opens up. I don't care who's that quarterback. I want to see how they get the ball to Brock Bowers. I want to see how they utilize Astrid-Genti, because I still believe a run game is a quarterback's best friend. So if you have that balance, I expect this offense to be more productive than it has been in recent years. But don't give up on things that we don't know can play yet, or if they can't.
Welcome back, everybody. JT, wrapping it up here, our final day before we're off for 4th of July, and we'll be back here next week with another weekly edition of Raider Nation Radio. Nice. I hope everybody has a great 4th of July. I have a feeling it's going to be hot back east where a lot of my family are. They're talking about this heat dome. That's a word we didn't use back in the day. We used heat wave. Now it's a heat dome. It's going to be like 105, 103 degrees in New York City and on the coastlines of the East Coast, which is going to be pretty brutal. Also, I didn't realize the heat affects the travel this much. Today is the largest travel day of the summer as people get ahead of the 4th of July. And I was supposed to fly out this morning and be off today and going to see Rush tonight in Dallas, but they canceled the show. So, fortunately, before I hit buy on my Southwest Airlines app to fly nonstop from Vegas to Dallas this morning, I was on a 7:05 flight. They canceled that show, which is really bumming me out because I had good tickets, going to be with a good friend. But I'll get a chance to see them at some other time coming up here. Matter of fact, going to see them a few times coming up. But that was a trip that got out of hand because Geddy Lee has laryngitis. Sometimes my voice on a Thursday or Friday feels like Geddy Lee with laryngitis. But we'll save that for another time. I want to thank Ari for stepping in for Clay. He does a great job. And, you know, it could be pretty dicey at the end of June into July with content on sports radio. But we had a big week, including our Rod Woodson interview from yesterday, which is up on the site if you didn't get a chance to hear it at LV Sports Network. I'm sure the Raiders will put it up, as they always do, at Raiders.com. And we're going to continue with that summer series theme that I'm going to do. I'm going to interview former Raiders about their signature moment. So we've already had Phil Villapiano on. He talked about his signature tackle in Super Bowl 11. And Rod joined us yesterday talking about his pick six that beat the Denver Broncos when the Raiders started off the season 4-0, lost 4 in a row after that to go to 4-4. Rod ends up making that pick. The Raiders end up 11-5. They win the AFC West, and they go on to win the AFC and go to Super Bowl 37. And for the others that are coming up here, it's just interesting. When you ask a player what their signature moment is, typically it's a playoff game or a Super Bowl, but sometimes it's an individual game like we had with Rod Woodson in the middle of the season that can turn the season. So I hope you're interested in that content, as I'll be asking other players about what their moment was, and they'll be joining us, especially throughout training camp, where some of these legends or alumni will be. I talked to Kirk Morrison, who's going to be out here a lot as the analyst for the Raiders, along with Lincoln Kennedy, who I talked to yesterday, signing day with his son today. I'll let Lincoln Kennedy tell that story. He's so proud of his sons, but especially the one who's signing. So I won't let the cat out of the bag on that, but congratulations to Lincoln Kennedy and his son for this great opportunity that's coming forward there. For this week, the one thing that I wanted to stress was the NBA free agency and World Cup. As I opened up the show and mentioned about watching the World Cup last night in a bar atmosphere, and thanks again to Wahoo's on Eastern, my buddy Todd put on a great party. A lot of people were there. I ran into Sean DePesta, who's on television out here all the time. Sin Bin, who covers the Golden Knights, met him for the first time. What a big soccer head he is. He loves soccer, too, so it was good to watch that. The red card, which was so dramatic as the United States played man down for 30 minutes and still dominated and won that game. And they should have beaten Bosnia, but it got dicey there when they were going to have to play with the red card. And the fact that they're going into this next game with one of their best players being down. You get a red card, you miss the next game. And that's why a lot of these guys don't play with the yellow card before they get to the knockout round, because one red card or your second yellow card back-to-back can knock you out of a World Cup game. But what we're going to see with this game coming up on Monday, and again, I went to bed last night thinking I could go on Monday if I come through with the ticket, but I won't. I'll be here, is that Monday game is in Seattle. And that game will be played in Seattle, which is the best soccer city in America. So that is a home field. I've been going back and forth and battling Mexican fans, Mexico fans on X, because I said, how the hell is England playing Mexico at Azteca Stadium? I understood that was already predetermined. I knew that. What I was really doing, and I should have phrased it a little bit better, was to say, what a big advantage Mexico has coming up against England at Azteca Stadium. They'd still have an advantage in Monterrey. They'd have an advantage anywhere in Mexico where there's a soccer stadium. But Azteca Stadium is the absolute home field advantage for Mexico. And I don't think it's fair. It's not. We don't have a home field advantage in the United States for soccer. I mentioned Seattle, but if the United States plays at Arrowhead or Levi Stadium last night or at MetLife, let's just say, and it's not going to happen, the United States gets to the championship game in New York, that's not going to be a home field advantage because MetLife and the United States doesn't have a stadium like Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. That place is nuts. So Mexico does have an advantage. And if you know me, if you've been listening to me for 30 minutes or 30 years, I love everything about Mexico. I frequent it often, but I root for England. I root for England over Mexico. So if you got a problem with that, I could give a rat's blank. I'm rooting for England over Mexico, just like I'm rooting for the United States over Belgium. And I'll root for Messi to win another game because I like Messi. But remember, Mexico, if you're going up against the United States, I'm rooting for the United States over Mexico too. So, wow, people love to fight on X, on Twitter. Love to fight. Can't just read a tweet and look at it. Got to get into the comments, fight, yell, and scream at everybody. So if that's what you're into, because I fight back. Only when people fight, I fight back. Go take a look at those comments along the way. When we got off the air yesterday, and the big breaking NBA news story is Jaylen Brown ends up going to the Sixers. So the NBA is going to look really different next year now that Jaylen Brown goes to Philadelphia. And they got a pretty good team with Maxey and Joel Embiid, but Embiid's never healthy. But they have a big three. Jaylen Brown's a hell of a player. Paul George, get him out of town, right? Ja Morant went to Portland. There's been a lot of movement. LeBron James and the Lakers are done. But that Jaylen Brown deal is a really big deal because he's a great player. I think he's a top 5 player in the league. As good as Jason Tatum, they're 1-1A. And now Boston is nowhere near going to compete against my Knicks in the East. No chance. Philadelphia got better there overall. Detroit didn't do much. Giannis ended up going to Miami, and I think Miami is really excited that they got Giannis. They don't have a lot around him. And then the Warrior talk about LeBron potentially, and the Lakers going out there and doing a bunch of deals. ESPN.com today had a really good recap of NBA free agency winners and losers. And it was written by Ben Golliver, one of their writers there. And he said, the Heat were winners, the Celtics were losers. And I went down to the Lakers, and he said loser. And he said Lakers executive Rob Pelinka was facing significant pressure from all sides, obviously on LeBron's departure, and to go out and help Luka Doncic. And they gave away everything for Kessler out of Utah. I mean, they gave a draft package away where the Lakers will have nothing when it comes to first-round picks and pick swaps pretty much forever. So that's going to happen going forward, and you got to wonder when you look at the Lakers and say to yourself, was it worth it? I think it was. I mean, teams are all in right now. Teams are all in to try to win now, and they were able to go out there and try to do that. So I don't think Kessler's the type of player that deserves that much coming in in regards to what the Lakers gave on the way out, but the Knicks did it with the Mikal Bridges. They gave up 5 first-rounders, and I think Kessler's a better player or in the same boat as Bridges. So if you're a Laker fan here, now it's all in. You know, losing LeBron James was right. You have to do that. And they lost other players in the opening of free agency. And Luke Kennard is gone. Rui Hachimura, rumored to be departing. They re-signed Austin Reeves and added Quentin Grimes, who's a good player, and Colin Sexton. So the Lakers over the next season are going to still be looking for a couple of bigs, definitely a 4, someone to give Luka a little bit of a break. But Luka better be an MVP next year. I'm talking MVP winner, not in the running, if the Lakers think they're going to compete out west without LeBron James. And I think the Lakers are going to be able to do that. The Lakers were very aggressive with their moves overall, and we're seeing how it's going to play out and to see what's going to happen with them. For the Warriors, as we said, it looks like the Warriors are waiting for a big shoe to drop, something dramatic to happen with the Warriors here. And the LeBron James story would obviously be that, but LeBron passed his prime. He's not even at the end of his prime. LeBron's at the end of his career, not at the end of his prime. His prime ended 3 or 4 years ago, and he's been playing at a pretty high level. But Tom Brady's prime ended at one point. He went to Tampa Bay, passed his prime, and was able to win a Super Bowl. So big stories there. NBA free agency saved the week in a lot of ways, along with the World Cup. We had a lot of good content this week, which was really important overall. Hockey for everyone here. I don't think the Golden Knights got better with Dorothea leaving because they couldn't afford that price. And I thought Kelly McCrimmon had a great press conference on that topic, that they just couldn't afford it for what they were paying Dorothea. They weren't going to match that or do that deal. So I think they got something in return as he went to the Rangers. And then in baseball, a lot of crazy baseball as the Yankees are plummeting, and the Dodgers are rolling out here out west, rolling. So before we wrap it up, we do this every day, usually on Friday when I thank our proud partners. We are rolling now with our new partners and some that we're going to announce going forward here. This week, we officially brought on Flowing Tide, that great tavern group. We were there yesterday with Danny, the owner. He went over the menu with us. Man, a big menu of all the great food they have at Flowing Tide, all their locations in Reno and their locations here. They have a big one that we'll be hopefully doing a show from across from the South Point, right there near the South Point, the Flowing Tide there. So we're happy to welcome them. Also, Aspen Vodka is our new vodka. You know, I love vodka. It's a great partnership with us. We've had several vodkas on the show, but now Aspen steps up, and they're the official vodka of the Raiders. And they have a cocktail called Raiderade. Don't steal it. It's Aspen's vodka, not yours. I think it's brilliant. Raiderade that they'll be selling at Allegiant Stadium. We'll tell you about that concoction, which is really good. And Fletcher Azul Tequila, which I'm really excited. A big brand. Mark Wahlberg, as you know, that's his brand. And they jump into the show, and they're really excited to be here. So we're bringing back a lot of our mainstay partners here, bringing in some new ones along the way that we're really excited about. So thanks to everybody who supports our partners and understands the only way you can have a radio show in 2026 is with revenue, partners, and listeners. We feel like we got a really vibrant audience because of our streaming and the way we stream our shows at the LV Sports Network, and especially on that Raiders mobile app, and those who listen on 920 in Vegas. But we got a much bigger audience listening outside of Las Vegas than we do in Vegas, and we really appreciate that, and we think our partners understand that, especially Charles Woodson and Woodson Bourbon Whiskey. And over the 4th of July, I was texting with Charles. We were going back and forth. Everybody have an unbelievable 4th of July. Get yourself a nice Woodson Bourbon Whiskey bottle and support Charles and have a couple of safe cocktails over the 4th of July. So we'll come back and we'll put a bow on this on the other side. Thank a couple of more partners. Look ahead for next week. Next week is Real Raider vacation. Sorry, everybody. Everyone's on vacation. Every single player who's not rehabbing or working out is on vacation because they insist on it. That's it. And this is the 2-week, 3-week time where the players and their wives and their girlfriends and their parents and their kids go to Disneyland, go to Cabo, go to Europe, do whatever they do before they come back and get ready for the grind. Because Clint Kubiak is a grinder. And these practices are not going to be about pom-poms and big balls and, running around shooting hoops. Not that there's anything wrong with shooting hoops. All these guys love playing, but it's a different vibe around here. It's all ball. Just get out on the field. You don't have to dance and run on the field. You don't have to dance to rap or disco or country music. Get out there, stretch, and get ready for a balls-out practice. Because that's what it seems like Clint Kubiak's going to do. And I think that's a nice change of pace. And maybe the change of pace this organization needs for the foundation of putting together a winning football team. JT, thanking the DeCastroverde Law Group. Don't get in an accident. You never want to. Of course, you don't expect it. But when it happens, get to the side of the road. Be safe. Do not, make sure you're not talking to people on the side of the road you don't know. Put their number in your phone, 702. And listen, when I look at the DeCastroverde Law Group, I look at everything they do, 222-9999. But I go to Brothers Win, brotherswin.com, and ask for help. Because when you get into an injury accident, you need help in town. And there are a lot of scoundrels with billboards in this town. They are not the right people for you. The DeCastroverde Law Group is. As we wrap it up with Ari and come back before 4th of July. On Raider Nation Radio.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the DeCastroverde Law Group. If you get injured in an accident, call 702-222-9999.
La carrera de Tillman. Ahí va Tillman. ¡Gol! Malik Tillman, sí, el gol más importante de su vida.
Well, that's so good, Andres Cantor. Nothing better than his goal calls. Better than anything we do in America with a home run call, bang, way downtown. Whatever we do, there's nothing as good as him. Right, Ari? He's great.
Agreed. I loved every second of cutting that. Yes.
All right, we're wrapping it up here before we thank our partners. Ari, what are you thinking about for your 4th of July plans as we shut the building down tomorrow? And it seems like Vegas is a hub for the 4th of July. It feels that way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And I will not be here either, yes. So that's the first part. I'm just going to hang out with some friends. I'm doing something chill.
Good.
Just off the grid kind of.
Off the grid type stuff, so you won't be tweeting it, Instagramming it live.
Enjoying it. Yes.
Good. I will not be able to be apart from my phone for that long. I will do that. I'm still trying to find out where to watch the fireworks. My inbox is open. I'm joking. I have places to watch, but I really think I'm not a firework on the strip guy, but I think this is the year to do it. I really do. I think this is the year to get to the strip and have a view of these fireworks at one of the resort properties. Just going to be fantastic. And there's only a few resort properties that have balconies. Some balconies are starting to come back. We all understand why we don't have balconies in Vegas. I don't want to get into that, but a few properties do. So that would be pretty cool to be on a balcony of a condo or somewhere and watching some of the fireworks here. And what's great about these casino properties on the corridor, they all agree to work together. They do a great job when they put their fireworks off and how they put it together and how they go off accordingly. It's always been great, Ari, especially on New Year's Eve. This should blow away any New Year's Eve we've ever had in Las Vegas.
Interesting, yeah, because there have been some very memorable ones way back when.
Yes, Spain goes up 3-0. That will end. So Spain will advance here. And look, the World Cup, the United States getting this far, I think was expected. I think that this was expected for the United States to get this far. Anything from here on out is exceptional. Anything from here on out, I think, works. So if you're a fan of soccer here and you love these and you want to take a look at the bracket and figure out what's going to happen now, Saturday, July 4th is Canada-Morocco. I saw Canada play live Sunday, and they're not very good. They're not very good. It's like an MLS team, Canada. So I think Morocco is going to win that game. Paraguay will play France. I don't think Paraguay has a chance. France is an all-star team. They're loaded. I think France is probably going to win the World Cup. And I said that beforehand. USA plays Belgium Monday, July 6th, Monday at 5 p.m. That's a big deal. Monday night, all of a sudden, it's pretty cool. Brazil will play Norway. Wow, that's a heavyweight fight. Sunday, July 5th, Eric Holland versus Brazil and Vinny and their player. July 5th, Mexico, England. I believe that's the best game available. Mexico, England, at Azteca Stadium in Mexico City, which is going to be insane. I can't imagine there ever being an atmosphere more crazy than what we're going to see with that one, period. I don't see it. I can't imagine any team in my lifetime of having a more difficult game to play than England at Mexico from their hotel. So the Mexico fans have been surrounding the hotels of the opponents, keeping them up at night, banging drums. I'm sure England's prepared for that. I'm sure England's going to have them somewhere private to try to let the guys get some sleep. And then, you know what the security is going to be like to take England's buses into that neighborhood, to go in there with all the Mexico fans ready to roll. And they're great fans. They're going to have a lot of fun. And then for the United States playing up in Seattle, one of the pictures I saw, the aerial drone shots of when Fox broadcast from Seattle a couple weeks ago, was bigger than any event I've ever seen in Seattle, including the Mariners and the Seahawks at their best, including any Seahawk game ever played there. Never had a crowd like that pregame for a Seahawk game outside. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, thanks to all of our partners, and we got a couple of other announcements to make coming up here. But, man, I'm really excited that what we're bringing to the table. We do a lot of business here, and we do a lot of business around football season. And that's starting to pop up again as a lot of our partners are year-round. But some jump in from August through February for football season, and we treat it like a football season. We give them all the effort that we give the Raiders and everybody else. So thanks to the Black Hole, Mark Jones and the Black Hole. They got a lot going on. Become a member at theblackhole.com. Boyd Gaming, always bet on black. Modelo, proud partner of our show, along with the brothers. Brotherswin.com, the DeCastroverde Law Group. Yesterday, my wife and I went to Findlay Volvo, Las Vegas, right on Rainbow in the 215, and my wife test drove a Volvo and absolutely loved it. Nice. Loved it. So we were there yesterday, thanks to Mike. What a great partner. M Resort, 2 towers are better than one. Michael E. Minden, my jeweler, is back. Fashion Show Mall, 2nd floor. You want to trade in some earrings? You want to trade in some gold? You want to buy something new? Michael's got you all set. Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers, One Love. Aspen Vodka. Fletcher Azul Tequila. Flowing Tide Tavern. And more exciting news to come. Thank you, Ari. Appreciate you. Thank you very much for this week. Great job, Ari. Fantastic. He'll be back with me, I believe, Monday and Tuesday before Clay returns, and Clay will be back sometime next week. Have a great 4th of July, everybody. I appreciate every moment you give me to be on the radio for you talking sports. Have a safe and prosperous 4th of July. Be safe.